one of my buddies, Elijah, one of my teammates, always talked about how God has to put you at rock bottom to make you realize he's the rock at the bottom of your life. And that hit home with me because I know, like, for him, he went through a lot of stuff that I did and just struggling with stuff. And, like, so I think for me, like, transitioning, like, I had to really be, like, kind of stripped of my life almost for about almost 9 months. Because, like, my life was football. Like, we talked a lot about putting identity in sports, but, like, when you're a freshman in college, like, you do it kind of accidentally because you're there every day. You have 20, 40-hour weeks depending on, and, like, you just don't know. So I think, like, honestly, like, a transition for me was just being, like, trying to find out that I'm not an athlete, that I'm not a friend, that I'm not a son, like I'm a child of God. And I think figuring that out was really difficult. But I would say it's the reason I'm here now.
Created on purpose and for purpose.
Everybody, welcome back to the Daron Earlewine podcast. Stoked to have you back with us today. Thanks for downloading this episode. And we are in the middle of the renamed Daron Earlewine podcast, a.k.a. the Earlewine podcast, where we're sitting down with our whole family one by one, and then we'll finish it out with all of us together, which will be a good time. And today, Jill and I are welcoming our oldest son, Cole, to the podcast. Welcome, Cole.
Thank you for having me.
Before we started rolling, I said, "You ever been on the podcast?" And you said, "No." Did you ever come and do something on the radio? When
I was on the radio.
Okay, so
Best episode ever for you.
Highest listening rates
ever.
All right, Cole. So the last week, before we get into all the other stuff, big milestone. You turned 21 on Saturday.
I did.
So last week. So you're 21 now. Do you feel 21, or does it feel odd to say I'm 21?
Yeah, I definitely feel 21. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Sure.
maybe.
I think, like, at least in my world, like, in at least the college football world, like, once you're 21, you're considered unk. So you're like the old guy around. Like, in our room alone, like, I think I'm the second oldest guy, and it's so. I don't know. I also think being the oldest brother, you act older than you are, just because you have a responsibility that other people don't. And also, if anyone that's listening to the podcast knows who I am, they know I'm a little bit tight-strung and about as A to B as a human can be. So I feel like that just kind of comes with my cards God's given me. But no, I definitely feel 21. I think in a good sense. I think about myself when I was 18, and I thought 21 was kind of far, and I realized how stupid I was at 18 now that I'm 21. But yeah, I think I definitely feel 21. Excited to be 21. A lot of freedom in the world, but I think that also comes with responsibility that you have to have.
Yeah. So. Right on. Well, so in this series, Cole, so just to kind of catch you up, so we're looking at kind of all the transitions, so that that you go through as a family and that you go through as a kid. So for you being the oldest, you're going into your junior year at Ball State, studying business up there, playing football. So you've flown the nest or whatever a couple of years ago, been on your own somewhat for a couple of years. Then we're talking to Ty about getting ready to make that transition to college, and obviously Knox getting ready to go into high school. So just want to kind of get your perspective on leaving home, what you've learned, as you've been in college, how that affects your understanding of faith, kind of, becoming your own person, and just what wisdom maybe you could help us pass on to maybe parents that have kids that are in that place, and obviously, peers of yours that would listen to the podcast that might be in that same place, and kind of trying to figure out how do you become who you were born to be in each one of these transition steps. So first question for you is, what do you think, kind of looking back, if you look back at that kind of first year you went to college, what did you find as maybe one of the most kind of difficult transitions, like from leaving home to like being on your own in college? What kind of stands out from that freshman year that was one of the most difficult transitions?
I guess I have some moments I could share that were like transitional moments in my life. I remember the first week I moved in to the dorm in Muncie, and it was I'd got there on Sunday, and it was a Tuesday night, and the first practice was horrible. The second practice was just as bad, and I'm sitting there like, man, I'm really by myself. Like, this is it. Like, I'm with this random guy from Ohio. These guys across the hall from me are all from Ohio. I don't know any of them. Like, I didn't know anybody before. And I remember just, sitting there and, kind of looking up and just, kind of crying in my dorm room being like, what is going on? How am I here? I didn't want to go home, but it was just man, I saw a picture of us on my senior night that I have in my room, and started like crying, like thinking about how good I had it at home, and like I didn't know if I was ready to leave my friends or whatever, and stuff like that. So I remember that, like being like, all right, I'm kind of by myself. Like this is it. Like I'm now doing this. But yeah, I would say honestly, the second transitional moment, I guess, honestly, my whole freshman year is kind of a transitional moment for my life, if I be honest with you. People that don't know, I had double shoulder surgery my freshman year. So I tore my left labrum, got the surgery October 27th, tore my right one, got surgery January 11th of the next year, like that following January. So like my life was like kind of just in nothing. Like I went to go play football. I couldn't play football. I went to a school that I didn't know if that's where I wanted to go to initially, but I wanted to play football because I knew that's what I loved to do. But I didn't really know like what I was doing or who I was. And I'd say like transitionally, like I think it's the first time I've ever like really like had nothing besides like myself and my faith, because like you guys weren't around, which I was because I'm at college. And then like my friends are great and like I'm with them all the time now, but like we were still new friends. Like I would say like in high school, like I obviously knew of God because like, when your parents are in ministry, you like, but like I wouldn't say that I knew God myself. Like I think about that season of life a lot, and like I was a kid. Like I did a lot of kid stuff. Like, and so I would say like transitionally, like when that happened, one of my buddies, Elijah, one of my teammates, always talked about how God has to put you at rock bottom to make you realize He's the rock at the bottom of your life. And that hit home with me because I know like for him, he went through a lot of stuff that I did, and just struggling with stuff. And like so, I think for me, like transitionally, like I had to really be like kind of stripped of my life almost for about almost 9 months, because like my life was football. Like we talked a lot about putting identity in sports, but like when you're a freshman in college, like you do it kind of accidentally because you're there every day. You have 20, 40-hour weeks depending on, and like you just don't know. So I think like honestly, like a transition for me was just being like trying to find out that I'm not an athlete, that I'm not a friend, that I'm not a son, like I'm a child of God. And I think figuring that out was really difficult, but I would say it's the reason I'm here now. I would say I made a lot of mistakes my freshman year of college that like if I go back and hopefully I have kids one day and tell them, be like, this is what I did. Like I lived a life that I wasn't super proud of all the time. Some things super proud of, some things not. So I say honestly, just like a transition for me was basically just getting stopped in my tracks, which was the greatest thing I think that's ever happened to me. Which is crazy to think about because you'd think like, oh, shoulder surgery, that's horrible. Like, and it did suck. Like, the whole 9 months were horrible. Yeah. But like, I would say I'm a way better man and man of God outside of it now, because without it, I wouldn't have the relationships I have. I wouldn't have the social awareness, the discipline, and just the perspective on what is important in my life.
What's kind of crazy is obviously we walk through that with you, that maybe it's more, I mean, I'd love to your take on it. I guess my personality is I'm always moving on to the next thing and looking for the positive, whatever.
He's always doing that.
But naturally as an Enneagram type 7, but like, and I mean, it's been almost 2 years ago, but like looking back, it's like, yeah, like you just kind of got off the launch pad of like, here we go, you know, you were getting some opportunities, you know what I mean? And then it's like, boom, everything shut down. I mean, that was, and not knowing, I mean, literally going to chase a dream and having no idea, like that was what was coming right around the corner. But okay, so flip the coin the other side. Like what was, like you look back, you're like, man, some of the most exciting, positive things about that transition to college.
My freshman year at college was, if someone could have like taken a video of the year long stuff that like happened, it would probably not be rated what I'd want it to be rated on, like a PG level, but it was probably the funniest but the most fun year I've had also. My roommate, Jake Bates, a.k.a. Hammer.
Yeah, shout out
Hammer. The man. He kept me on my toes, to say the least. And then, but honestly, I think the biggest thing my freshman year is like, obviously it's funny they're here today, but like my best friends in the whole world are who I met in that dorm room. Like, those dudes have, like I said, like they've seen me at rock bottom, they've seen me at the very top. Like I've been there with them. And then like those guys, Eli Holt, Jack Reese, Christian Abney, and Jackson Corville, who ended up being my roommates the next year, like those dudes, like they kept it down for me like that whole year. Like we did so much fun stuff, and Like, I think it was the first time I ever had friends that were happy to see me like really succeed. Like people that were like very selfless people. And I think also people that were walking in their season of life of trying to be better in their faith, just not really knowing where they were going. So we kind of just figured it out together. And I think a big part of that was my freshman year. Two of they would be juniors at the time. They're now fifth year seniors. Jackson Weagold and Jack Beebe, the Jacks. They invited me and two of my other close buddies, Elijah and RJ, into a small group, and we started that small group. And I mean, like, stuff has multiplied spiritually and just relationally. Like, RJ and Elijah transferred this year, but we watched RJ preach on Sunday. Elijah started a small group just because of, and like I'm leading a small group at school now because of that group that started my freshman year. Because of me and the Jacks mentor Garrett Bova. He started that with the Jacks, and then now it's kind of being passed down to me. So that small group was huge for me. And so it's just a team Bible study. Like, there's so many people I met, and that's how I made my friends. Like, those guys were in the Bible study, but also the older guys that I became friends with. And like, I spoke up because, like, I don't know, I feel like I have a very good ability to read the word and understand what it's saying. Like, I feel like I have been very thankful to like decipher literature very well that way. So that was a big thing. Like, the people made the place for sure. Like, and we'll get to probably later in the podcast, but like the transition we've been in these past couple months of a lot of those people leaving because of the stuff has been really difficult. We joke it's called the Great Massacre because like all these people we had and loved that were together are now in different places doing new journeys. But
that big part of that transfer portal for college sports.
Yeah. So like that's big thing. Some of my buddies going up, some of my buddies going down, some of my buddies just wanting to find a new spot. But it just changed. But I think like that is the thing. I'd be the most thing is people say that people make the place, but if you've ever been to Muncie, it's not very pretty. So like it's not very pretty, but the people there were amazing people. So I'd say that my freshman and honestly my sophomore year, like the people I've met there are just people that like I'll cherish the rest of my life. The stuff we did for the good, bad, and the ugly. Like I'm glad I went through with those people.
One of the things that was interesting, we talked a lot about that freshman year is, I mean, there's obviously a difference. You have friends like in high school, but you don't live with them like 24 hours a day. You're around these people. And so we talked about before you went, like you're probably going to have a chance to make some of your best friends, but it's just different. Like even people that go and room with like a buddy from high school, then all of a sudden they're with them and they're like, dude, I hadn't lived with this person. Yeah. But one of the things that was intriguing that I thought was cool, and I'd love you to talk about this a little bit, is where we live in Fishers, it's a little bit of a homogeneous type community. It's not very culturally diverse. When you go to Ball State and you're playing football, I mean, you are immediately thrown into a very culturally diverse environment. Like, what were some of the kind of eye-opening or learning moments of that? Of like, okay, like this isn't Fishers. Like I've got to adapt, I've got to adjust, and come to appreciate a lot of differences.
Well, yeah, I mean that's something I prayed about too. I felt like I didn't have a ton of that diversity, which I knew I lacked. So I was very thankful when it happened. Honestly, like I basically just flipped the coin on its head completely. Like I play safety. Not too many guys look at me that play safety. Like it's just how it works. But I think you just learn a lot about people and types of environments. Like I was saying, like my buddy Elijah's from the inner city of Indianapolis. So his life story is so different than mine, but we get put in the same place. And now like he's someone that I call and text regularly about like how my life's going. And he sees life from a different perspective because he's an African-American man from the inner city. I'm a suburban white kid. Like we're different, but we're the same because we follow Christ together. So I think that's what it was. I think honestly, like I don't see it as like the cultural thing. It's just like, are you a good person or not? Because like there's people that I've met that look like me, people that don't, that I love and I don't like, or I don't feel like are making me better, and others that don't. But like, I think for me, I'm just thankful for the opportunity. Like my small group is me and 6 other African American dudes, which is awesome because like they bring a perspective that I don't have, and I bring a perspective that they don't always have. And so I think like for me, I'm just very thankful that they treat me the way they do, because I know like for some people it's like you're kind of closed off, or it's like people don't welcome you in, or you're in a group that doesn't welcome other people in. But I think that's a beautiful thing about football is like you're just one melting pot together, because you go through tough stuff together, you go through life together, and then eventually when you start becoming friends that have a spiritual base, you then become like men of God together, and then like you don't look at anyone that way. Like, at least I don't. Like, that's not, like, they're just my friend. Like, that's just my friend Elijah. That's just my friend RJ. Like, it's just people I care about that, like, it doesn't matter to me that way. Which I know some people, like, there is a separation and they aren't, like, I'm just thankful I'm around that because, like, I love those guys. And, like, they've taught me so many things and have given me a new perspective I would have never gotten if I didn't have that opportunity. So that part was really awesome. And I think just, I was just very fortunate I had good people. Like, that's the biggest thing. It's just, they're all good people, which is what matters to me.
Yeah. If you could go back, like, let's say there's a, senior in high school, I mean, somebody like where Ty's at, transitioning, getting ready to go to college. Like, as you look back into the perspective you have, like, what's maybe a couple pieces of advice? I mean, I think you could extrapolate out of some of the things you just said, but to someone getting ready to go into, their freshman year of college, or maybe even to some parents that are getting ready to send their kid to their freshman year of college, like, what's a piece of advice or something you would give them?
I would say that the college lifestyle is not as cool as you think it is. Especially if you're a man of faith. I think for me, there's habits and things that I did my freshman year that I wish I didn't do. Or at least I had to learn and kind of grow out of, which was difficult. And I think for me, I look back and it's like a thing I battle with, giving myself grace, because like I knew I was moving in sinful ways and things like that. And I think that carries around for me. So I think for them, it's just like the biggest thing is like, you need to find people that are moving in the right direction you are. You need to find people that want to support you, and you need to be in your word enough to know how your life can change. Because I think for me, when I look at myself at 19 walking in there, I would say I was a Christian that knew a lot about the faith and could answer a lot of questions, but I didn't read my Bible. I didn't dive into the word. I didn't listen to podcasts. I didn't listen to sermons. Like, now I listen to a sermon at least once a week from other guys, whether it's pastors in Atlanta or California or even just on my phone, like random guys, or listen to you or listen to Ken back at home. Like, I think for me, like, it's really pursuing Christ and not pursuing what everyone else is, which there's still times I do that, and there's times I regret that I do that. Sadly, that's human nature, and I bet everyone listening has done that as well, because it's our innate human. It's what we do. But I would say, like, be around people that push you, support you, but also will challenge you spiritually. But they will give you grace instead of condemnation when you do wrong. And I think that's a big thing. I always tell somebody, you need to find a friend that when you fall down is going to reach a hand out to help you up and not point at you and laugh. Because those people are the people that are going to get back up and walk through life with you. And then when they fall down, you're going to give them both your hands to pick them up. So I'd say that people are the most important thing, especially when you're going to college, because you never know who you're going to find. So you got to find the people that are important.
So let's talk a little bit about the identity piece, because you brought that up and I wanted to talk about it. So obviously sports and athleticism and has been a massive part of your life since you were, 5 years old. The challenges that you had your freshman year brought you to, like, really, let's look at identity. Who am I? And then now, you could play for another this year and then 2 more. So you have potentially 3 more years of football. So, and then who knows? You could become the next Kurt Warner and play in the NFL and, have a great story. But
Maybe something.
That would be something. But what has helped you kind of start to turn that corner of realizing, like, my core identity is not athlete, because you're into it now and you're looking forward and saying, okay, there's some things coming. Because Julie, we've talked about it, through these past 3 years of just our prayer and conversations of wanting to help him, maneuver through that and understand that. So what have been some things? You've talked about it a little bit. Some things that really kind of helped you get clear on really who you are.
I think the hard part for anyone that goes into college is, or even especially college sports, is it consumes your life. So whether you're going to a student and going to be in a fraternity, a sorority, athletics, club, you're on an academic scholarship, so you have to have a certain GPA. Your life quickly becomes consumed with whatever you're there to do. So like for us in athletics, like like for example, fall camp coming up next week for me, like I will be at our football facility from 6:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night for 21 straight days. So it's like, in that season of life, it's like, how is what I am a football player, it's all I'd ever do. And it's like, or then you get to the season and it's like, well, Monday you have off, but Tuesday you practice you're there from 7 to noon. Then you go back from 3:30 to 5:30. And then you have all your study hall and eat, whatever. And you do that all the way until Friday. And then Friday you travel, Saturday you play the game, and Sunday you come back in and do it all again. So it consumes your life. But I think it's where your mind goes, not necessarily your body. Because it's like, all right, well, what am I more worried about here? Like if things go wrong, am I asking God, like, why am I not playing? Well, I know my first years, I never asked God for me to play. I asked God for me to like be someone that's going to be impactful to these teammates, be a leader, be someone that they care about, and hopefully be best to play. So I think it's more of like understanding that it's still just a game, and understanding that we would always say at school, like it's a platform for you to use to jump and like show who Christ is. And we talk about it a lot also is like in 5 years, no one's going to remember how many tackles I had. No one's going to remember how many interceptions I had. But I promise you the guys that are in my small group will remember who I am because of the impact I've had on their life and the impact they've had on mine. So I think that's a big thing. And then honestly, at our FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Ball State, we talked a lot about identity. And it's like, no, like I'm not an athlete. Like I'm a child of God. Like that's what I am. And I think I keep mentioning my guys. My buddy RJ always said like he never introduced himself as an athlete. He never tells anybody he plays football. Because that's not who he is. He's a child of God. And I think that's a big thing that you have to try to do. And like, I know you guys know this, like it consumed all my life because I was so worried about like, man, what am I going to do today for football? I didn't really give myself any balance. But I think now it's just like, all right, like I'm going to work as hard as I can. And whatever happens, God's already put out there and he's already put into place. And there's nothing really I can do. There's something I can do, you can work hard, all the things, but it's like, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. So I think just having that constant faith in your own work and just the constant faith in who Christ is honestly the biggest thing. But I think you also kind of have to rewire yourself and sometimes get it taken away to realize like, oh, I can't do this all the time. Like another one of my good buddies, Tristan Cook, a wonderful man of faith, just on fire for the Lord, and he's gotten hurt a bunch just like I have. And he's like, we were talking today, he's like, man, I just want to play. But like, he's like, it's not out of that, but he's like, he's a man that chases after God every day. And it's like, he knows like, I love playing football. Like, it's who I am, but God is what has gotten me here. And he talks a lot about his testimony when he got his knee surgery. He's like, I thought I was ready. Like, I thought I was ready to play and give God glory, and I wasn't. So I had to be taken away from the game and recalibrate myself again, and then be ready for that blessing that God's walking me into. Yeah. So I think just from everyone, like you learn so much from all the people about how it works, especially when you have this many men of faith that I'm friends with or have the opportunity to be friends with. You just learn from a lot of people to be like, man, this guy's going through this and he's doing this way, and so I need to do this way. So I think for me, it's just taking stuff off the game. Like, it's wonderful. I love playing football. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But it's going to end. Like, it goes away. Like after week 1, we never play Purdue ever again. So it does, you know what I mean? Like, it's, but like, but the relationship I have with the guys, like, those don't go away. And like, the word never goes away. So it's like, this stuff's fleeting. I know in Ecclesiastes, it talks about how like, nothing is important under the sun. I used to read that before every football game because it was like, none of this, like, it matters to me. But like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. What matters is who you meet, who you are, and how you can spread the gospel to other people.
Yeah. Jules, for us as parents, I know, like, when Cole was going to college, and we've had these conversations at home of, like, I mean, he got a direct admit to the IU School of Business, like, and, you know, he's been a 4.0, you know, GPA, still is very impressive. I didn't take that path of academics very well. You did real well with that. But as a parent, like, what's it been for you of, like, probably if you could have waved a magic wand, you would have had him pursuing Keller School of Business and, like, more the academic side of things. How have you navigated that to, like, support his dreams, but, like, at the same time have your own emotions and thoughts about it, and watch how it's gone.
Yeah, if I think back to that time, I remember it was a very specific day. It happened very specifically. He got a direct admit into the IU school, Kelly of Business, and he got the full go-ahead show up for summer ball at Ball State and got the invite for the early game, for the early arrival. And I remember being like, Lord, are you kidding me? Like, you're putting them both out there for him to choose. But I remember a conversation we probably had about a year prior to that. I was bringing him back from a football camp down in the south side of Indianapolis. And he said, Mom, what happens if there's a lot of decisions to make? Like, what happens if I don't know which one to make? And I said, well, you have to look at it like folders. You put things in a folder, and then you keep all the information in the folder, and then you start writing down the things that on the top that you can't live without, that you find inside the folder. And we were talking about that on the way back from UND. I don't know if you remember that, Cole, but we got to that day, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that though I thought maybe at the time the better option was for him to take the direct admit to Kelly, and knowing what I do believe he will someday do in business, I thought in the safe, cautious mom world, and I hold a lot of high regard to academics, I thought that was absolutely the way he should go. But I quickly learned that it's not about me shoulding on him. It's about what would he want to do. And I knew that if he didn't try this path that he had wanted so badly, that if he didn't go try it, then he wouldn't have really been where he was supposed to be. So yes, I wanted him to take the safer route. Now, here we are 2 full school years later, and some shoulder surgeries that were difficult, a season that he actually did see the field some, and a 4.0 in the college that he attends, and friends that he will have for the rest of his life. I'm really glad I didn't should on him. I'm really glad that I let him go do what he knew he was supposed to do. So that if you're a mom listening and your kid is getting ready to move to Arizona, like the second one went and decided to do, or they want to go play college football, which is rather dangerous, it's really their life. And you learn that he or she, whichever one you have, is going, if you allow them to do the thing that God has for them and you get out of the way, like, it works itself out. And it's not always perfect. 2 shoulder surgeries and a horrible throat infection his freshman year. We saw Cole way more than I ever thought we were going to actually see him. Like, he practically lived with us like a whole extra month because of all of these terrible things he went through his freshman year. But he's grown so much spiritually. I also don't know that his faith journey would be the same if he had gone the other way. And our desire has always been that the Lord guide them, that the Lord direct them, and that the Lord protect them, and that they be in the plan that he has. Even when they make decisions, like Cole saying I made decisions I didn't necessarily was proud of. That's part of the journey, and he had the right kind of people around him to carry him through. So I'm really glad that though my mom self wanted to should on him, I didn't, because he absolutely followed the plan that God had for him. And it's given him opportunities to lead, opportunities to build relationships with young men that are literally some of the best people, that come from some of the best families. And then above all else, he's grown into such a man of God. And I don't know if that would have been the story the other way. So I'm thankful that he had enough confidence, even when he didn't think he may have been where he needed to be spiritually. I'm thankful that he had enough wherewithal to know that that was right for him.
I know I can think back to that year, and it may have been in late February. We went up to see him, and you had your right shoulder done, so you had to be left-handed for 6 weeks in a sling.
We were at that pizza place, I think.
Yeah, you couldn't hold your backpack.
Greek's Pizzeria. Everyone should go there.
I had shaved my head, hadn't I?
Shout out Greek's Pizzeria.
I think you'd shaved your head. You were pulling a backpack,
rolling a backpack.
Rolling backpack.
I mean, what poor college kid has to pull a rolling backpack
in the winter in Muncie?
That's terrible.
So I can remember we went up there and we were driving back and like we were like concerned as parents, like, man, I don't know that we've necessarily seen him this like low before.
Yeah.
For you as a mom, like when you see your oldest son, you know what I mean, in that kind of place, like where did you go spiritually, mentally, emotionally, like during that season?
Well, it'll take me a minute to go back there. I usually am the one that's a little more practical, and Daron always thinks everything's going to always go exactly right. But
no, I just think it's going to work out.
Basically, he thinks it's just going to go right. But anyway, I remember noticing that day. I actually think that day almost took Daron back more than it took me back because he's not used to seeing that. I think I knew that it was going to get hard, but I also know Cole, and I knew he would figure it out. I think I don't really remember that day being exactly like that. I remember us talking about it, but I think it may stand out to you more because it's such an antithesis of what you like for anyone. Cole has a pretty strong tenacity and a pretty intense drive. So I knew it was going to take him a minute. I actually thought the throat infection might have done you in more than that day. It was so sick.
I can't believe we're talking about that right now. I was just sick, guys. I was all right. It definitely was terrible, but
no, it was just piled onto the top.
Surgeries were way worse.
They were way worse.
Everyone knows the throat infection was like 3 days. The surgery was 9 months.
I don't mean that actual thing.
I promise you, the shoulders were way worse.
They were way worse. I don't mean that. What I mean was it was like the compiled thing upon the thing upon the thing. Like you had been home for a week, then you were home for a week, then you were home for a week, then. So it was more just like, can I catch a break? Is what I mean. Like, were you ever in a moment where like, can I catch a break? But you know, Every day. Every day he thinks, can I catch a break? No, but like I said, Cole's very strong. And when he's one of the things that I appreciate about him and something I appreciate about our parenting technique is that he seems to know which one of us to lean into when he needs to lean into one of us for something. And I think during that season, he needed a lot of mental, he needed to be able to like outwardly process it, and you were really good at that, Daron. Like Daron, when it comes to football and those things, and he's on the edge of stress and stuff, you've always been the one he's been able to go to, and I think I didn't really worry because I knew he'd be able to have you, and he would lean into you, and that's something in that season. And there's things he leans in towards me for that I think are areas he feels like I can support and best in. So I don't know that I was overwhelmingly worried. I think I knew he had strength. I was also seeing him grow spiritually. I was beginning to see a lot of changes that I hadn't seen. Maybe I've also blocked a lot of it out because I have a hard time remembering stuff. But, yeah. I think it was really good and I hope he still feels this way, that he knew he could lean into us if he needed to. And I think he sensed that even then.
What does that look like, Cole? Like, I can think back. I mean, all of us probably that have moved away from home and gone to college or whatever. Like, what was that like kind of figuring out for you to calibrate, like, what you needed us for, or when you wanted to call, or when you felt like you needed to do it on your own? I mean, is that something you thought about, or just kind of is it natural?
Yeah, no, I definitely did. Because like I would never call mom if it was like something like I was like really upset about, like initially, because I knew mom would just get more upset, and then it would just be like a lot. So I'd call you because I knew you'd find positive things where I don't. So like usually I just needed to rant, and then you'd tell me something smart, and I'd be like, oh, you're right. Well, and usually if anyone that knows me and is friends with me knows that like once I say all the bad stuff first, I usually then come back with the good stuff. I just have to say all the bad stuff first, and then I can find the good after it.
But I think there's growth. I don't think Mom and I have talked about it. You didn't used to do that.
Right.
Like, I think that's one of the biggest things. I think through that freshman year, there were times, and we had some really, deep conversations about, I remember us coming back from something, I think I came up and took you to a treatment or a rehab thing, and just encouraging you, like knowing, and I think some of the good part is, both before you went to college, you went through spiritual DNA with me, just took Ty through it in this winter before he's going to college, and like knowing a little bit, like, we're pretty sure you're a type 1 on the Enneagram, and knowing how strong that inner critic is and how important gratitude was to you. Like, that's something I think I definitely saw in you, is that you really began to do that, where there were times even in high school, you would go on one of your rants, and then it would just end on like you're pissed, and you just walk away, and it's like the world is coming to an end. And now it's been cool to watch you that, you know, whether you need to rant for about, you know, was 30, now it's 20, now it might be 15 minutes, maybe it's 10, and then all of a sudden you're starting to grab things you're grateful for, things that are positive, and really turn yourself around in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I definitely, ever since I was a little kid, I've been real hot-headed. I get real pissed about things. But I think about Scripture talks about how like a fool is someone that's quick to anger, and talks a lot in the Bible about anger and like those things. And I'm still not great about it. Usually I do like kind of like as a joke, like I act like I'm angry, but I'm really not that angry. I think for me though, it's just a lot of praying for a sense of gratitude. I've been trying to find those things because I think in college sports you get humbled a lot. Just in life in general, you get humbled a lot. And it's just like, you know, like what am I actually grateful for? Because it's like we talked about in Bible study a lot. Like and there's a part of the brain where you can't. I think it was you physically can't complain and be grateful at the same time with the chemical makeup of your brain. So it talks about, and I know we also talk about in our brain, like the pot of it takes like, what was it? It's for every one negative thought, you have to think like 5 positive thoughts. Is that what it is?
10.
10?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think about that stuff a lot. And it's just like, but I think for me, a lot, like me and the guys talked about, it's just like you have to be grateful or you'll never make it. And I know you talked about it a lot, and the guys at school, I brought this up a lot, of just celebrating little wins of like, man, I made it through practice today sometimes. It's like, man, I was sick at practice and still played good. Or it's like, man, I was a 3 on the depth chart in this one thing, now I'm a 2. Or it's like, well, I went from, like for some guys I know, it's like you're not traveling, you make the travel squad. And then you make the travel squad, then you make the kickoff return team, and then you make the punt team, and then you get your first defensive snap. And it's like, okay, like these things are pretty good. And then you think about, but I think it comes back to like what you're centered in. If it's all you think about is football, or all you think about is girls, or all you think about is money, it's like, well, if you put all those things, if once football you're not playing, then you're like, well, I have nothing. It's like, if you run out of money, well, I don't have any money. And it's like, and then if you have like a relationship or you're chasing girls, it's like, and they all go away, it's like, well, I have nothing. So like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's all about what you chase. And I think the closer you get to Christ, the more gratitude starts to walk into it, because that's how he was. And so yeah, I think it's just an active pursuit of trying to be better at that, because I know a lot of my friends definitely caught some fire from internal pain that I had that I just didn't deal with, like the concept of hurt people. And I think like as you start to heal as a person, you just give people more grace, because you're like, man, you never know what that guy's going through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely.
I watched this video. It's like the guy cuts you off in traffic, and you cuss him out or you just let him go, and you don't know that they're rushing to the hospital because their kid like is dying or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's something like that. Like, you never know like what someone else is doing. So you have to try. And I'm not great at it. Like I would say anger is still something I struggle with. But I think it's just the pursuit of trying to be better is what's important.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Earlewine podcast. And as you can tell, as a family, we definitely like to talk. And so these episodes went a little bit longer than a regular episode. And so we've cut them in half. And so this will be the first half of this conversation. When we come back, we'll close the conversation out. Hope you're enjoying it. Would love to hear from you. You can always email me at Daron@DaronEarlewine.com. And please subscribe to the channel, whatever you're watching or you're listening to. I would love to have you be a part of the growing community of the podcast. And until we talk next time, just remember, God's for you, not against you. He's near you, not far away. And he's created you on purpose and for purpose. We'll see you on the second half of this episode.